and earlier, very good morning to you. Welcome to the morning brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Osun. As always, they're here.
You're good.
Monday.
Well, indeed, it's a beautiful Monday. Brand new day, brand new week. Welcome to your perfect morning starter, and we're live for you here from our global headquarters. I am Bukola Koka.
I am Kelly Egiga. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Thank you indeed, as always, for trusting us to begin your day and your week with you. How's the weekend, guys?
Well, I've been thinking about something. Federal government is always complaining about money. We have a revenue problem. So I have a proposal. Yes, it may sound very naive, but it's a proposal anyway. So since all of this assets forfeiture had happened, from Malami to other people, to even Emefiele, I'm thinking that from the president down to any elected official, let's start with the elected official, maybe some appointed officials of government, the president can waive his immunity for a while so that we pack everybody's assets in Nigeria who is a public official. And you have to explain all of your assets. I know we have the CCB, we don't get to see all of the document. Whichever you can't explain properly to us, we'll collect it and use that shore of our monies to see how we can help the country. Because I can guarantee you, thanks to the EFCC and the ICPC, if everybody surrenders their assets to these agencies for verification and to see what you got legally and illegally, we'll be ramping up some good numbers to help our revenue shore up. So if the president leads by example, say, look, I want to lead by example. For me as a person, I'm not saying send them to jail. No, the first part is civil forfeiture. Let's not even talking about sending them to prison first. For the president down to say, okay, I will start with myself. I'll present everything I own, directly everything. And whichever you think I'm not able to satisfactorily explain to you how I made these, I own this, I own that the government take it as a civil forfeiture. And from there to governors to, which other one? National Assembly members.
To state assembly
members, Bukola
Commissioners.
We will not borrow money. I guarantee you, we will not borrow money. We will not. So if we can just, I say it's a naive idea, but it's a valid idea. Because I'm just thinking, we have a spending problem which we're going to probe. We also have a revenue problem which you can't run away from. So the immediate one in terms of optimization is for everybody from the president down to present themselves. I know they do that with the Code of Conduct Bureau by declaring their assets. Let's pack it up. Whatever you cannot explain after you got into office, we'll take it and civil forfeiture and we'll give it to the federal government. Before you know, we have so many things in terms of property and monies to be able to shore up our revenue. I don't know whether that's a good idea, but I think it's an idea anyway.
Well, indeed, you have a very pungent point there about the efficacy of the Code of Conduct Bureau. So we shouldn't just be seeing assets forfeiture at the beginning of the tenure of an elected public official, even an appointed public official. What would be more revealing, telling about an official being above board throughout the time of their service would be what their assets are then worth when they leave service. So do we have those details coming through from the CCB from the time of its establishment and covering the elected and appointed officials that have served from that time up until now? So Jeffrey, you have a point, but whether the administration or subsequent ones will summon the political will to carry this out, as clearly as possible. Justice must not be done, but be seen to be done without any sacred cows in the mix. But your proposal, Jeffrey, I'm not very, very enthusiastic about it.
I don't hope to be president of Nigeria, but if you make me president one day, just one day.
That's what you do.
That's what I will do. Nigeria will just make money from nowhere.
I don't know, guys, if you're also following, the fake agency, alleged fake agency story, and what has also come through over the weekend is the Director General of the Budget Office, I believe, also distancing itself from that particular agency, saying that no amount of money was withdrawn out of the allocated 1.3 billion naira, allocation to the PFIPC. And prior to that time, we also heard the head of the civil service of the Federation also saying that that agency was not allocated an office at the National Secretariat. That indeed, documents were presented, in an application process, but those documents did not pass the test, and so the agency did not get an office. But does that take us anywhere in this continuing investigation of the PFIPC? If indeed the Office of the Civil Service did not allocate that agency an office, how then did it get the office? But more importantly, all through this, why did the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation not raise the alarm about the presence of an illegal agency at the National Secretariat? This leaves more questions than answers as we continue to scrutinize the presence of that agency, the interaction of that agency with members of the diplomatic community, and the allegations that have been coming through, against key officials in this government. How it was able to secure an appointment letter? Was this appointment letter presented, to other officials in other ministries, departments, and agencies as proof of its existence? Again, perhaps we should even ask how this particular Director General of this agency did not get scrutinized by the National Assembly. No, revelations were made about this appointment, such that, his records will be checked and ensured that they check out, as do that of other appointments that have been made by this administration. So that leaves more questions than answers, and we hope that the truth will come to the fore eventually. Kelly, I don't know what you tracked over the weekend.
Yes, well, starting with Jeff's idea and dream. First of all, Jeff, wake up. This is Nigeria.
That's why I say it's just a Nigeria.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea, but we know how things work in this part of the world. We have made public service very, very attractive because of the money there. That is why even those who have businesses would rather leave their business and would rather prefer to go into public service, mainly for the money, as we've seen over the years now. That's the interest. That's why you see one person would fund some projects and splash monies in ways that one can never imagine. So it looks like in the end we see a few persons with the commonwealth and resources of this country, while the larger millions, language in poverty and all of that. So it's very difficult to see. I'm not sure how many governors and ministers can take a public transport. Let's say, for instance, in Lagos here, use the BRT. But in some countries, prime ministers use the trains, use the public transportation system. But here, that's not the case. Even you can see a lot of people in the office with their convoys all the time. So it's very difficult to see, apart from maybe the likes of maybe Fashola, who some person said, oh, you know what, at some point you see him just go solo, like the likes of, I think, even Lea Limoke of Cross River State as well. But many others, there's no points going there. So I don't know when we're going to get to that point where we'll see our leaders, especially the political class, get to just take a chill pill and do better with the resources and commonwealth of this nation. Well, guys, Peter Obi is in the news. Great interview again.
Wake up, Kelly. This is Nigeria.
Our responsibility is to hold them accountable, and we will continue to do that, no matter whose ox is God. Our best way of building the nation, and this is speaking to any ruling party, that is the APC. The best thing we can do for you is to look at your blind spots, is to look at what you're not doing, critically examine what you're doing, x-ray it fairly, and you'll be able to answer questions. But because sometimes when you look at how politics is played, we're in between. So the opposition will play up the bad things of the country, the ruling party will play up the good things in the country, Our job is to bring everything to the fore, and then the people make a decision.
Balance, yeah.
Yeah, so Peter Obi,
The news again.
yeah, he granted an interview. I think the one that made a lot of highlights, I've seen a couple of highlights. Seun Okinbale, our colleague, did that interview, was when he was talking about President Tinubu. He said a lot of things, so I don't even know where to start from, but Nigerians are reacting. So Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra, said, generated a lot of buzz. You can't take it away from him. It is wisdom not so. It is lack of wisdom not to be worried of this kind of person being on the ballot. So forget about what the APC says about, they're not, but forget that talk. That's just political hot air. You don't count out anybody. So this is a gentleman who came from no structure to 6.1. It has never happened in Nigeria's political history. However, he's made some comments that maybe sat well with some people and didn't sit well with some people. I think the one I was listening to a lot of people were talking about, debating over, was the issue about the president age. He wasn't the same person in Lagos. He's not the same person now. He's done his bid. He should go and rest and all of that. But more importantly, what we want to hear are policy alternatives. You know, for me, the bigger things are the policy alternatives, because President Bola Tinubu has run Nigeria for about more than 3 years. He's clear on his part. I call him the unrepentant, unapologetic neoliberal capitalist. That is where he stands. I don't know what the APC stands for, whether they're welfareists or capitalists, in terms of not what they wrote in the paper. I mean, what they are administering. So what is he going to offer differently to the people? But he also challenged them. He's been on the ground doing a lot of legwork and all of that. But the time for these fireworks will come. So this is also important for politics, so that we engage, the people engage themselves. And this is also good for him, because all publicity, remember, before the president became president, everybody was afraid for his health. You know, one health issue, as soon as the man became president, we've never, you know, what was considered gaps and health concerns, they disappeared. So whether the president that was his strategy to just keep himself in the news, we do not know. So politicians can deploy anything and everything to stay in the news, but more importantly, when when push comes to shove, we want to know what are the policy ideas on the alternative. And all of them are eminently qualified. The president himself, Atiku Abubakar, I think the SDP guy, I've listened to him, a very brilliant guy. We cannot discountenance persons like Donald Duke. There are so many people we can list that are eminently qualified to rule Nigeria, but this game is a game of numbers, a game of alternative ideas, guys.
And you're quite correct there. You know, those are the things that we should be watching out for in subsequent conversations with presidential candidates, alternative policy ideas. And unless I'm mistaken, what I noted was maybe an unwilling acknowledgement from the presidential candidate of the NDC of the success, or you know, if you like, the filling up the space of this administration's FX liberalization and removal of fuel subsidy. But he then pointed out that why that has not worked is that the administration has not combined it with, an effective anti-corruption war. And for me, that seemed like, an acknowledgement, albeit an unwilling one, of the opposition about the efficacy of some aspect of the policies of this administration. And then, when our colleague went on to engage him about issues in the power sector, he also talked about how, his own government would ensure the provision of adequate power supply, that it may not be achieved within 4 years. All Nigerians may not get power supply within 4 years, but they'll be able to generate at least 10,000 megawatts, and that's what is already being done. And so I didn't hear, a rival provision of, a rival measure seen in the provision of power sector as promised by this candidate. But beyond all of that, what about, the issues of distribution, the issues of generation? How then is the opposition promising to resolve this? I didn't quite hear that. And that's why it's a continuing conversation with the opposition, asking them what they're going to do better in terms of, taxation, in terms of, the downstream sector, a more effective management, in terms of ensuring, that Nigerians enjoy the commonwealth of being a crude oil producer. That's another issue. How how to deal with continuing issues of crude oil theft, protection of our national assets, ensuring that we take them away from non-state actors, the protection of those assets, and ensuring that every crude oil infrastructure is metered such that we know what Nigeria is earning, from its main resource that it serves as the mainstay of the economy. And so I don't quite know, Kelly, if you watched that interview all the way through, but did you get alternative policy ideas to what currently obtains, such that Nigerians can be convinced that indeed if they want to choose another government in 2027 apart from this government?
Well, Bukola, you're putting me on the spot there because we know how the obedience are, and they could be. But one thing I like about Mr. Peter Obi is that he has again re-emphasized that 4 years and not even a day after. That's what he has said. Again, emphasizing that he's going to do just a single term. And I'm a bit skeptical and worried about that promise, because when I look at the historical facts of the average Nigerian politician, it doesn't look like he would keep to that word or that promise. But having said that, I also like the fact that Mr. Peter Obi is engaging with journalists and newsmen. Just a few days ago, his running mate Rabiu Kwankwaso was also on that show as well, and now the presidential candidate of the NDC is also on the show, and that's a big challenge to the APC running mate and the ADC and others. We need to engage more with you beyond press statements and your media aids, tweeting and posting. Come on live interviews. Let journalists and Nigerians engage with you. To be president of the US, no media aid will do your job for you than you yourself speaking directly to the Americans. Trump engaged even the opposition media stations in the US then, the CNN, New York Times, NBC and Fox. Some of them are not really, they don't really agree with his policies and style, but he went for those interviews. So please, the ADC presidential candidates, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we need you to engage more with the people and the media, live, not recorded. The same goes to the APC candidates, the president of this country. Nigerians need to engage more with you. Yes, you did dinner and you spoke to media people and all of that. We want live interviews. Let us engage more with you. And then coming to the fact that, do I take everything Mr. Peter Obi has said, hook, line, and sinker, if it's going to work or not? I totally doubt that. That's my sincere position. And that's because in 2014, we had the president that came like a messiah to this country. I was doing my NYC night, and people said, you know what? He's going to return 1 naira to $1. People said, oh, he does not like corruption. But a lot of things allegedly played under his watch for 8 years. I remember he also said he's going to do a single term. Just 4 years, he will fix Nigeria. And then after the 4 years, he said, you know what? 4 years is not enough. We know that line. It's not enough. The people are campaigning that we need to, come on board again and continue from where one good turn deserves, Yes.
I've spoken about the engagement of the media. I spoke about President Tinubu until I got tired, but I'm not really tired. When he went to Chatham House, he was saying that people want to use him, he's a brand, they want to use him to make money and all of that. That was when he was candidate Tinubu. I think, to the best of my knowledge, since President Tinubu became president, he has only engaged the media once in a media party. And that's very unfortunate. That's very sad for a national leadership. If you see the way Americans work, they're jumping out of an helicopter, they're doing an interview, then the aircraft they're doing interview, they do a sit down one-on-one. So we don't understand the Nigerian kind of leadership. From Jonathan to Muhammadu Buhari to now to President Tinubu, they don't feel the need to be accountable directly. It's not talk that will do the work, let's just get the work done. No, you need to engage with Nigerians. If you can't go through all the stations, gather the people. Maybe not like years on week every month, quarterly, half yearly. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think the president has done only one. I think there were others that were supposed to be done. They didn't work out.
Yeah.
Only one media party, just one. And he didn't do badly. He responded to questions the best of his ability. He did his thing. You can judge him for whatever it is he said, but he has come and he has done it. So we will like to see the president. We would like to see other persons as well, presidential candidate, come out and engage with the media. Let's talk. beyond speeches, beyond National Assembly speeches, beyond, we didn't elect Bayananugam, our friend Boala or Sunday Died. Those are just appointees of government with greatest respect and what they have achieved for themselves. It is the president we elected. So he has to be accountable. He's our employee. We are the employers. And we ask questions on behalf of Nigerians. So it's important that they come out, engage. Some days you do well, some days you do terrible. It's how those things work. So it depends on you. So, but we'll take a break now. When we come back after this break, we'll bring you our papers. Stay with us. Let's get to the dailies now. Our guest, Mr. Daniel Maxson, is a journalist and also the publisher of First Daily newspaper. He is also a former commissioner in Bayelsa State. Mr. Maxson, thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And let's begin with this Nigerian newspaper. This Nigerian newspaper is where we start off from. It begins with something quite concerning, has to do with what a lot of people have complained about over time. I think, okay, maybe let's start with the Guardian newspaper. Yes, Guardian newspaper, before we get to this Nigeria. Overlapping budgets, how weak budgeting culture aids graft, poverty, ghost allocations. So the Guardian, always doing the yeoman's job, overlapping budget. The president has promised in December 2025, he promised that the overlapping of budgets will end in March. I know there was a repeal and reenactment, but we'll see extension of capital components even up to September of 2025. What do you make of this, sir?
Well, like every other Nigerian, I'm really worried and troubled because the budget for even 2025 has not been implemented. We're not even talking about 2026. And so, yet a lot is going on. Expenditures are being carried out. And one wonders, where is the money coming from? So it's worrisome, to see that in the last 3 years, we've had very lopsided budgetary provisions. A number of the MDAs have not gotten funding in the last 3 years. It will shock most Nigerians that a number of the MDAs don't even have any budget envelope to work on. So you wonder what service are they providing to Nigerians? And for me, we cannot carry on like this. I really don't know what is going on, but obviously something must be done. And frankly speaking, if we're not getting the dividend of democracy, then we know why. And look at some of the very disturbing revelations that are coming out from the budget itself. All kinds of provisions. I mean, the other one, somebody budgeted over 700-something million for, is it church development? I don't know what to call it. I mean, and several others like that. And some of these budgets are hidden in ministries and agencies that have no bearing, no relevance whatsoever. So it's really sad. And my worry is that not many people are raising, issues around this. It's just the media reporting, and once the media reports it, a few discussions here and there on social media, and the thing just died naturally, and we move on as a nation. And that has been the trajectory over time, especially with this administration. And I wonder whether, as a nation, we can really progress with this kind of gaps in our budgetary system. And look at the level of poverty. Is it any surprise why Nigerians are really going through a lot? And the Guardian report is as always very incisive, and it's something that we have to really look into seriously. The other day it was reported that the ICPC I think it was the ICPs that discovered about 903 ghost workers and drawing salaries. I mean, it's like this whole thing, this whole drama will not stop. So it's like a recurring decimal for us as a nation. Every now and then we have to deal with these issues. And let me shock you, next year we'll be back to the same problems. So where is the hope for the common man? Why are we always finding ourselves in this mess as a nation? And yet people are talking about, 2027.
All right.
And they need to be given the opportunity to come back a second time.
I mean, it's more like it's in our DNA. It's become our culture, especially when you look at our budgeting culture as a people. So a lot of us on this table may not be shocked, and I'm sure many Nigerians as well. But let's take a look at the Abuja Inquirer. It leads with something else. The Abuja Inquirer leads with something else. Vandals target FCT road infrastructure. Vandals target FCT road infrastructure. Road crashes, delayed repairs pose threat. Over 100 vandals arrested since 2025. This is a common sight, or common events about our infrastructure. It's happening even here in Lagos as well. The Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway as well. Perhaps some would say very landmark and historic infrastructure. But then we see this level of vandalism. I'm just wondering, how do you think we can protect these kind of structures that we put up, infrastructure, roads, and all of that? Because a lot of monies have been spent, but then the maintenance culture is a big problem, and then there are issues around theft.
Well, that's the sad reality, again, that we have to deal with in Nigeria. Look, we all know how the humongous amount of money that goes into putting infrastructure in place. Sometimes, we blame government, we blame people who are in position of authority, leaders. I think the biggest problem are the followers, frankly speaking, because it makes no sense. Infrastructure that is serving the generality of everyone, that is supposed to benefit the people, certain people will go there and remove those infrastructures. They go as far as taking out those rail tracks. I'm sure you're aware of that. I mean, those rail tracks, they take portion of those rail tracks away, and therefore endangering the lives of people who are traveling on rail. I mean, there's several of them like that. In Bios again, I mean, so much infrastructure investment by the government. But only two weeks ago, I mean, they arrested a couple of vandals who went there to remove stuff from the bridge. And I begin to wonder, we complain every now and then that government is not doing enough. And the very little that government is doing, these same Nigerians are going there to destroy. And this has been with us for quite a long time. Now, what is the way forward? Because frankly speaking, I'm just tired of just complaining about so many issues plaguing us as a nation. I'm hoping that we can find some kind of solution going forward. So there's need to be some kind of reorientation. People are quick to blame poverty as the cause, but have you also found out that those who are rich are also doing terrible things to destroy their own country? So sometimes it's not really poverty, it's just that we're just who we are as a people, and that's why it's difficult for our nation to make progress. It's sad. Look at the humongous amount of money spent on putting this infrastructure into place, and look at how certain individuals, because of their own pecuniary needs, will go there and destroy those infrastructure. Something that's meant to serve the generality of the people. So I am really disturbed. Then government need to probably just set up infrastructure, some kind of infrastructure policing. I don't know, just from the top of my head. The other day, I was just driving past one of the roads here in Bayelsa, and these street lights newly installed, providing lights for us at night. The next time I was driving past that road, they had gone to vandalize all the street poles, all of them. It's shocking. Who are we as a people?
Very important question there, Mr.
It's not that.
Yeah. Very important question. And you know what they say about the people deserving of the kind of leaders that they get. But the question is, are these categories of people fully representative of the generality of the people? Perhaps the laws need to be tightened to make vandalism of national assets a treasonable felony, such that it can deter others who may want to embark on it in the future. But it is really an issue of continuing concern. Let's get to the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and it takes from one of our talking points at the start of the program. 2027 polls, Obi Kwankwaso's ticket, best chance of winning, as ascribed to former SGF Babachir Lawal, who surprisingly was one of the chieftains of the ADC until recently, when he wrote a very, very scathing note on his social media announcing his exit from the ADC and calling the presidential candidate of the party Kachala. So just an insight into who's speaking now. And then there are two riders here, ex-SGF, not worth dignifying with response. Of course, the administration has responded with no response. And then there's this, Tinubu lacks capacity to lead Nigeria. Peter Obi promises to unify and secure Nigeria. That's reference to the interview he granted on our station just yesterday. I don't know how you're going to tie all of this together, but should we be listening to who's speaking, or leaving the messenger alone and just taking the message? Mr. Markson.
Well, the truth of the matter is that politicians will always be politicians. Don't be surprised tomorrow the same Babachir Lawal will turn around and speak ill of the people that he's praising today. So politicians, who they are, they will always run their mouth, as it were. And frankly speaking, I think the onus is on Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians. And they need to really tell themselves that, look, we can't get it wrong this time. They should forget these politicians who they speak on both sides of their mouths. I think the credibility of the individuals who are standing up for elections today, we must do background check on all of them. And I don't think it's too much for the other Nigerians to do that. Because at the end of the day, whoever you elect will determine whether you have a bright future or you continue in this terrible state that we find ourselves in. I know that a lot of people are disillusioned. Nothing good will come out of Nigerian politicians. But frankly speaking, there are good ones out there. What it really requires of us is to do some background check. But as for politicians, they will never stop talking. And fortunately for us, we're in that season, and so you will hear a lot more. And what they do best is they cast aspersions on their opponents. Some say it's part of the political strategy, but I think we need to hear more of issues, not about personalities. If, as a politician, you want to win the trust and confidence of the voter, tell them what you have to offer. Stop running down your fellow politician or opponents. That's not what we're interested in. How are you going to make the lives of ordinary Nigerians better? What can you do to improve the current state of ordinary Nigerians? Look at the level of poverty. Look at the insecurity that we're dealing with. I bet you a lot of people don't know how bad the situation is, because you sit in your comfort private corner and you have not been affected directly, and so it has happened to this person, therefore you just carry on, you just move on. A lot has gone wrong, particularly with the security situation in Nigeria, and I'm really very worried. Why? Because the statistics are not good. Just between 2023 and 2024 alone. Okay, let me stop there.
No, you can land on that thought in 30 seconds and as we wind down.
No, I was going to give you the statistics.
Yes, go ahead.
Just between 2023 and 2024, 2 million adoptions. That's 2 million people adopted. That is almost the population of Gambia, and certainly more than the population of Chad. 1.4 trillion paid as ransom. I'm giving you statistics from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. 1.4 trillion between 2023 and 2024 paid as ransom. Currently, that number has doubled. That is the same amount of money that the federal government shared as FAC to 6 states in Nigeria. It's 600,000 killed. And those 600,000 are killed. Those are the fathers and mothers that their children will never see again.
All right.
So that's the stark reality we're dealing with. And therefore, we were not interested in politicians coming to run themselves down on the pages of newspaper or on television. We want to see ideas. We want to see what are you bringing to the table.
All right, Mr. Maxon, well said. Because there's concern all over the place, as we have maintained here as well. We would like to see alternative solutions as much as possible. But I know you're a publisher. I couldn't get your paper up. I know you're leading with INEC registered 6.8 million new voters as the 2027 registration closes. Maybe just speak on that, even though we're not putting it up from your papers. So what happens next to the people who were not able to register? If you can do that in 30 seconds as we wind down.
Okay, I mean, I think the INEC should extend the dates. I mean, what's the hurry to close the gate? It should be extended because a lot of them are still not captured.
Okay.
The date should be extended.
Okay, I know that some people say Nigerians will like extend it by another 1 month. Some Nigerians will still not come out. It is what it is. Mr. Daniel Maxon is a publisher, is a journalist, and also a publisher of First Daily. By the way, congratulations. Your paper is 6 years old, and you're putting out that event tomorrow to talk about national security. So congratulations in advance to you and your team. But thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Mr. Daniel Maxon is a publisher of First Daily and also a journalist and former commissioner of information in Bayelsa State, joining us to review what the dailies are leading with. But we'll take a break, and when we come back, what is it about the politics of Osun State that is bedeviled with consistent violent incident? The election is barely maybe weeks away from now, I think 15th of August or so. But we see violent Kimpat's initiative and the civil society organization said it has registered about 40 incidents in the last maybe 3 years or so, or 4 years of this administration. Why the war from courts to the street? The other days was NURTW. We'll find out from the Commissioner of Information from the state. Stay with us.
Welcome back. And so we begin with Osun State, where the general elections, the governorship election will hold just next month. And so ahead of this time, the political atmosphere has been dogged by violence with a number of deaths recorded. Just a few weeks ago, we had the National Public Relations Officer of the police force talk to us about the number of cases that are in court, and we've spoken to both sides of the divide amid this continuing violence, with many accusations flying around from the APC to the PD to the Accord party in the state, and from the Accord party against the ruling party in the state. What exactly are the issues, and why is there no let-up in the violence ahead of the election? Let's have the Commissioner for Information in Osun State, Mr. Kolakpo Ishola, who joins us virtually today on the program. Good morning, Mr. Ishola, and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is not Kolapo Ishola. My name is
Mr.
Kolapo
Alimi, pardon me, my profuse apologies there, Mr. Kolapo Alimi. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Let's begin with what transpired a few days ago with reports of a certain individual causing chaos in motor parks in Osun State and scaring people away with a lot of shooting. What is the update as far as that is concerned? Has there been normalcy returned to motor parks in Osun State? And what is the scale of the violence that has been reported amid this particular incident?
Thank you for this opportunity. The situation in Osun is quite unfortunate, and it is a case of a desperate set of people who are using every means possible and made the APC to stage a comeback to power in Osun. We are all living witness to the issue of a local government they created from around February since last year, almost 1.5 years. We are still on it. They are holding on to the resources of Osun so as to collapse the government. The government refused to collapse. They move on to the issue of the registration of accord. Immediately Adeleke move on to that one. They fail along that scenario. Then they move on to brigandage, shootings sporadically in the towns and our towns, injuring people. And when that one was escalated to the whole world, they reduced that, and then they now look for another way. That is the issue of motor parks. They just woke up one day and they claim they have to be in charge of the motor parks, and they started shooting, destroying the vehicles of other people, causing panic in the towns, and we thought it was a joke. We informed the security operative, especially the police, as we used to do, but they were looking aloof. They were looking away. There are footages of areas where the policemen will park and these brigandage thugs, hoodlums, will continue to carry out their evil act. And so it is quite unfortunate. We can only pray and call on our president to actually be president to rule. It's not the president. It's not the president to APC people alone. What we are witnessing in Osun is as if all other persons are not matter. It is only APC that matters. As it is today, yesterday morning, they still went to Ile-Ife to cause a huge havoc. And when the people save our souls to the Nigerian Navy, who had their barracks not too far from that place, the Navy came, and fortunately they arrested 5 out of the hoodlums with pump actions, 5 pump actions gone. You know what happened? The commissioner of police, Ibrahim Gota, who has been so compromised, now called those naval men, personnel, to hand over the hoodlums to the police. Then they told him that he should wait so that they could seek clearance from their commandant before they did that. But what did the police did? They moved in to that place, and with about 4 trucks of fully armed mobile policemen, and they tear gas even the Nigerian Navy, and they took away those hoodlums. And so if we are having a decadence to that extent, to the extent that the police now had the audacity to attack the naval personnel, and since yesterday, the naval could not do the authority of the Navy at the highest level could not do anything. Just now imagine those of us that are private individuals.
Mr. Alimi, in this latest round of violence, the ones recorded 5 days ago and the one you are talking about from Ile-Ife yesterday, how many deaths were recorded? And have these cases been initiated with the police?
Every case, we are usually incident with the police. That of yesterday, people were injured. But day before yesterday, one person was killed. Day before yesterday in Osun area, one person was killed. Before that day, when they started the brigade, 2 persons have lost their lives. The police in Osun, as it is today, they are branch of APC. If you take anything to the police, you are just wasting your time, because most of the act, the nefarious act being carried out, they usually do it in collaboration with the police. Yes, you see my brother and friend Ojelabi will come on here with street talk to deceive the people, but the people know what is ongoing. If the police alone has decided to do his job professionally, all this will have become a thing of past.
All right.
The man they are trying to bring to our park, look at it. You usually call him Kazimu Yawale Kiasiri neighbor. He was in Abuja, and one of the leaders of the motor park in Abuja. They have to import
Commissioner.
And then a group of criminal matters taking on him. As it is today, when you check one of the national dailies today, which I won't mention, you will see when the court has issued that it should be served through substituted means on murder cases which has committed before. And the return date for that one, when the cause will be arraigned, happen to be August 4. We know we will not come, and we can only pray. We can only pray and appeal to our president, the national security advisor, the IGP, the international community, everybody to come to our aid, to put it to impress it upon the police to do their job professionally.
All right.
Nigerian police is for everybody. They should not be using.
Mr. Alimi.
They should not be using police.
Yeah. Mr. Alimi, so that we can squeeze in as many questions as possible. It's interesting, this appeal you're making, and you politicians, when it's time to make appeals, you know how to appeal even to the international community to come and solve the problems that you campaigned and promised to fix. John Maxwell said everything rises and falls in leadership. So I wonder if you think that perhaps the chief security officer of Osun State, which is the governor that you serve in his cabinet, has failed in terms of ensuring that there's leadership and governance in Osun State. And then my question to you would be, what price or sacrifices is the Governor Adeleke-led administration willing to pay to secure lasting peace in Osun State? It's almost 4 years. And if you're not battling at the courts, it's in the streets. I'm just wondering, so is there any price your governor is willing to pay to ensure that the people of Osun State get to experience lasting peace?
Governor Adeleke is a very peaceful man. Look at him psychologically. And he's a man with great pedigree in the state. Then you call him the chief security officer of the state. And the commissioner of police will not listen to the chief security officer of the state. The commissioner of police will not attend the security council meeting. We only send people. Look at what I told you what happened yesterday. The Naba men arrested hoodlums. The police went ahead to let them escape. And where is the cooperation among the personnel? If as at this morning we have not had anything from the national headquarters of the Navy, it means that the federal might which they are saying they are going to deploy against us is real. The governor is only the chief security officer on paper. He's not the one controlling the police. He's not the one controlling the army. So what do you expect him to do? Are you getting it? It's like a general without army. When you say somebody is a general, he must have an army. So when you say a governor is the chief security officer of the state, and he lacks the power to control the security operator, just because of people, they are desperate, they want to come into the governance, by all means. I told you now, you said since about 4 years ago, they started the brigade, immediately they lost the election. They lost at the tribunal, they lost at the they lost the election at the court, and then they came up with the issue of local government. Up to this moment, It is only in Osun State. It is only in Osun State that they say they are practicing local government autonomy. And it is only in Osun State that the people that lack the constitutional power or any legal basis are being given money to spend recklessly. They are doing that one in connivance with the Federal Minister of Finance and Accountant General of the Federation. What do you expect the government to do in that twice? Since February 2025, when our government was just barely 2 years and 2 months, they have stopped allocation to us, and the government is still paying the salary of primary school teachers, the salary of local government staff, who happen to be primary responsibility of the local government. And now they came up with the latest dimension, the issue of attacking people here and there. We reported, they refused to arrest, and then they came up with the issue of union. They were moving with impunity from one motor pass to another, and the police are even following them around. Thank you for this footage. Look at it. You will see the policemen standing aloof while they do this thing. So when you now say because the government is the chief security officer, that's not the truth on the ground.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you now.
So let's presume that you're already surrounded now, because I've engaged with your people, I mean, on all sides about this issue. I'm familiar with the court cases. We've talked about this on several interviews. So you're saying that as we speak, because I like to reconfirm most of the time, that Osun State, the federal government pays directly, FAC allocation doesn't go to JAC, it goes straight to local government council account. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, you can just call them like an accounting office.
So that's,
and the APC people, they are spending the money without payment, without any payment, salary and
if what yes,
we are the one, the state is the one bearing it.
If what you're saying is will be we all want local government autonomy, because the federal government even went to court for it. But it's curious to see that it's only Osun State that has started implementing it. So the politics in between is what will be queried, but it is what the federal government wanted to happen. But the argument now is that there is a local government led by the PDP and the one led by the now Accord, now APC. But beyond that, let's say, which is what my colleague is trying to ask. So let me ask it differently. Let's say you're surrounded. Let's accept without conceding that the federal government is complicit allegedly by funding LGAs led by the APC to do whatever it is they are doing with the money. We'll call them to come and explain how they are spending that money. That will be another day. And then you see what played out between the president's wife and your governor, which you got a lot of flags for embarrassing the governor at that level. And then the accusation that the police is not cooperating with the governor, which the IGP himself warned the commissioner of police when he came, after also advising the governor that he's shielding people that are killing people. He told the commissioner of police, I don't want to hear about the complaints that are coming to you. So it looks like maybe, assuming politically, the whole idea is to see how this will be unstable so that they will militarize and see what they can do with the election. What is your response?
Well, our response is this. Our governor has been appealing to the people to be patient. We know we will weather a lot of storms until the day of the election. But the people of Osun has resolved that no matter the level of intimidation, these people are not going to be elected. And so whatever they do, we are prepared. Just day before yesterday morning, our core candidate for Ijefa South Federal Constituency, that is the one that our candidate to replace Honorable Omene, he was having meeting in his house with our canvassers. They went ahead and picked him. It was like a joke. And as we are talking now, he has been moved to Abuja without anything. When they searched his house and they couldn't find any hands, they now said he will be charged with terrorism and that he's doing illegal mining, all sorts of things. They have listed about 300 leaders of Accord in this state, that's what I'm talking now. And they are planning that a week to the election that will be cracked down with the police based on frivolous petition. So everything is being done in their own head, that when they do this thing, they will be able to come to power. You stated it down. What are they doing with the money? The only thing they are pointing to now is this. They bought vehicles for the policemen. So they bought vehicles for the security operative. They gave to the police they gave to the immigration, they gave to the civil defense, they didn't give to any other other agency. Now, what are they saying? They were saying because the police lacks vehicle. And that was the only thing they have done over the last 1.5 years when they have been sitting on our money. What happened to the rest money? They are sharing it. And our question to them is that why it is good to always support the police in terms of security. Nobody is questioning that. But we will question what happened to the huge amount of money in the police trust fund. What happened to the budget of the federal police affairs? What happened to the office of the Inspector General of Police? What happens to the Minister of Interior, who is in charge of NSCDC? Before you now said you want to buy vehicle for those people. The duty of the local government is for the local government to collaborate with our local vigilante, give them money to collaborate with Amatekun and all these people, the people in the local area to secure the community. Apart from buying vehicle, I'm only telling you so that when they come, that's what they will tell you. Now, apart from buying vehicle, you see nothing on ground, and they are not paying the salary. We even wrote them, sir, that okay, if you want to continue to do your brigandage at the local government, please try as much as possible, pay the pensioners, pay the local government staff, because every month we are using 6.5 billion naira to 7 billion naira as a bailout for the local government. Because if we have not been paying this category of workers, our health system in Osun State will have collapsed. Our primary school system will have collapsed. Our local government system, everything, our local staff wouldn't have gotten any salary. They don't care. They just want to come to power by all means. We know that as soon as we can see the light on 15th August, that will be the end of their brigade. But what happened between now and then? That is where we are calling on all stakeholders to come to our aid in Osun, to appeal to our president, to be presidential, to the president, to everybody. So to appeal to the National Security Advisor, Malam Ribadu, not to be looking away, to appeal to the Inspector General of Police. Inspector General of Police came and he had the audacity to stand before the governor and said the CP informed him that the governor is harboring criminal. The governor told him that is a lie and that he's free to arrest anybody. Since then, they have never come to arrest anybody at the government house. The police are the one manning the government house. The civil defense are the one manning the government house. The government has no control of them. All their careers are with their headquarters. This career are being guided by the Police Service Commission. The same with the civil defense, their career is being guided by the federal government. How on earth can you now say you have a criminal in the government house that the police cannot arrest? It's just a matter.
So Mr. Alimi,
pardon me, the IGP also play to the gallery in order to balance it. It is not true. Just because people have seen that they are the one moving from one place to another to cause mayhem. They have killed people. A 14-year-old boy was killed in the Lobu about 2 or 3 months ago. In Osogbo, our party chairman in Osogbo local government was attacked. In Irewale local government, the hometown of their candidate, one Eluyara was killed. In a Southgate, the hometown of Wole Oke, one guy was killed. So many people have been killed, and
so Mr. Alimi,
have been arrested.
Mr. Alimi, pardon me. If I may come in there, and just for clarity's purposes, and because we're going to reach out to the opposition party, the APC in Osun State, to debunk or confirm some of the allegations that you have raised, you are saying authoritatively that local government allocations are paid to cronies of the APC, council chairman or caretaker holders of the APC in Osun State, and much of the purposes for which these funds are meant are not, paid. They are not paid, but the state government still takes responsibility for it. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. They have that to, as it is today. Let me repeat it clearly. The local government allocation in Osun since February 2025 are being paid directly to the APC. Now what they have them to do, they have them to go to the UBA, only single bank, to open an account. And they are the one operating the account up to this moment, and they are sharing the money. Apart from buying vehicle for the police, they have not done anything. And they are not paying the allowance of all pensioners. They are not paying them. They are not paying salary of local government staff. They are not paying salary of primary school teachers. They are not paying the health workers who happen to be responsibility of the local government. It is the state government that are bearing this responsibility of every month since February 2025. Ask them if I lie. I'm saying on national people. You can only protect from the office of the accountant general of the federation. If what I'm saying is
Mr. Alimi,
they are frustrating us. What do we do? They are just frustrating us everywhere just because they believe in federal might. They say they will use all the federal might to come to us. The people have rejected them. There is no amount of intimidation that can work.
So, Mr. Alimi, this political atmosphere that has held sway for months ahead of the election, maybe in fact years, because we recall the violence, the local councils that played out in 2025, makes it very worrying as we head into the elections. Do you have confidence in the electoral umpire to be able to prosecute the elections without bias towards any political actor in the coming Osun governorship election?
Thank you very much. We have confidence in the people because you know what happened to the rec in Osun State. They told us beforehand that they will bring a rec that will compromise. We don't know how to do it. Then they transfer one rec and they bring another one. So the reason why we are saying is that we are giving the rec the benefit of doubt, but we are watching. And we want the whole world to continue to watch. But we have confidence in our people. The people have resolved to stand by their election. We want to see what they want to do. The issue of park, they are telling us that on the day of the election, they want to be in charge of the park so that they can divert the material. We don't know how practicable that one will be because we know it is going to be impracticable. The material will be distributed starting from Thursday preceding the election. How they want to do it, we are waiting. And we call on all meaning Nigerians. We call on all everybody, civil society. Let everybody come to Osun. Please come over to come and see what is happening. They have moved to the extent of sabotaging infrastructure. I listen to press report now that some people are sabotaging infrastructure in Abuja. In Osun, the opposition are sabotaging our infrastructure just to present to the whole world that infrastructures are substandard. They are damaging it. It is unprecedented. Their level of desperation. But we know the power of people is greater than any federal might.
Yeah, we have to.
Thank you for this. That's part of it. What they did yesterday. This part of what they have done yesterday. They did once before 2 or 3 days ago, which have been rectified. They went and do another one. This is exactly part of their orchestration, just to show to the world that the project that has been done by Animal Adeleke, that they are substandard. So they do all sorts of propagandas everywhere, but as they do it, people reject their application and they do them.
I was going to ask about I don't know if this is the bridge that was commissioned recently, that because there was a peaceful protest in Osogbo over the weekend about the bridge that was commissioned, and there were already cracks on that bridge. Perhaps this is the particular bridge. So from all indications, it means that meeting between the IGP and your governor perhaps was just a waste of time. Is that correct?
My brother, from all indications, the IGP came, even organized town hall, he spoke very well, except the area where he accused the governor, because what happened that very day, the IGP had a close meeting with the governor. What he raised before the camera, he didn't raise it. And the governor responded. And the governor said, please come to the government house, come and check. Because that's their own game plan. They want to make it to be balance of terror, to say the governor one criminal is under the watch list for 2 years ago. Everything that has been happening recently, they want to cover it up. So the IGP, if truly IGP is sincere, the people have said IGP should transfer Ibrahim Gota. And look at what happened yesterday. Please confirm from the Navy if what they are saying is not true.
We're totally out of time.
Let me answer my thought on this. That the NAVA will arrest criminals and the police will now have the audacity to go attack
We'll reach out to the IGP and the first PRO to confirm what you have said, because it's quite disturbing. But in 30 seconds, because we're totally out of time, Remy had said, Remy Amofai has said that 30 people have been killed. The majority of those people killed are APC members, although he didn't give us the data, because we challenged him to say, just prove to us, give us a name of the 30 persons. He said he'll get back to us. I'm not sure I got the feedback. But if he's alleging that despite the violence, more of APC members have been killed because your people are also perpetrating violence, is that also true? 30 seconds.
True.
30 seconds.
The only person that was killed in February happened to be one of their local government years of chairman. And about 17 persons were arrested. About 7 are facing trial now. On the same day, 5 PDP members were killed. Nobody was arrested for them, for killing them. And up to this moment, most of the people are killed. I told you about Eluyera. I told you about one guy, Bolahan, in South Africa.
No, we're totally out of time. My question is, no matter the number of people that have been killed, which side have died the most? Is it your side or their side? Sadly.
You can just imagine it is the PDP accord now. And that's why we are shouting. Let everybody be arrested. It is only one person there, and that's only one person. They are arrested about 17%, and about 7 of them are standing trial. Nobody is standing trial for those people that have been killed, across PDP members that have been killed. They have looked away. That is what we are talking about. The police are biased and ask no apology for saying it.
Okay, so we can confirm from you now that the PDP members are standing trial for the deaths of some people, right? But they haven't arrested. They haven't arrested those on the other side who are responsible for deaths as well. So, so apparently there is enough blame to go round amid this continuing political violence. And the question is, what is the worth of this office that is being contended for? Is it the bloodshed that we're seeing in Osun State? We must anchor on this particular one for all political actors to reflect on. Mr. Kolakpo Alimi is a commissioner for information in Osun State. Thank you for coming on the morning brief.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. The death of Mary Habila is not going anywhere anytime soon. And if you're not familiar with the story, she was a nurse seconded to the Ministry of Works from the teaching hospital in Ebonyi State, seconded to the Ministry of Works. That is Honorable David Umahi's ministry, whom he says he's one of the nurses that attends to him. And they live in his residence. Well, for investigation still going on, shows that the lady had died in that residence. They broke into her home, into her room, and they rushed her to the hospital, but she didn't make it. While there was a physiotherapist who was also her friend, who was her colleague rather. Well, the Honorable Minister said he wants autopsy to clear his name. The police has also insisted, but the family kind of said they don't want an autopsy. But there's been that back and forth. The latest is the fact that Habila's kinsmen are suing the Honorable Minister over the lady's death and demanding a 20 billion naira maybe compensation. So I want to explore that conversation with the president of Southern Kaduna People's Union, Sokapo, Samuel Tabara. He joins us virtually. Mr. Tabara, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
So it looks like conflicting messaging. How did we move from, I don't want an autopsy on my child, let it be, it has happened, maybe it's the will of God, to we need compensation? So is this two different set of people making demands, or the family is in on this?
Well, ever since the death of Mary Habila, there have been quite some controversies surrounding it. And we as Southern Kaduna People's United Association, Sokapu, formerly Southern Kaduna People's Union, as the apex socio-cultural organization of the region, have obligation to ensure that rights and interests of the people are protected. Now, here is a matter criminal by nature, and it has attracted local and international concern. it is not to say that we outrightly believe that somebody killed her, but the circumstances surrounding her death should be investigated to lay to rest all manner of speculations. And in this wise, justice should not only be seen, should not only be done, but be seen to have been done. And it is in the interest of even the minister himself and the general public at large.
Mr. Tabara, so maybe you can just talk to us about the family of Habila, the parents and perhaps siblings. Have you met with them physically? What's the atmosphere? What was the atmosphere like when you had to meet with them? I mean, the parents and perhaps siblings of the late Habila.
I spoke with the father over the phone, and he directed me to speak with his lawyer. And I spoke with the lawyer, and he said it is the family resolve that they don't want autopsy. And I said to the lawyer, well, this has generated so much concern among us as certain Kaduna people and the public at large. And the commissioner of police has jurisdiction to investigate criminal matters or suspected criminal matters, regardless of whether the people involved wants it or not. It is a statutory responsibility, and it is just responsible of us as an organization, cultural organization for that matter, the voice of the Southern Kaduna people, to take a position on this, and we decided to take legal action.
So, are you seeking legal action as well as an investigation, or you're seeking legal action? And is your legal action based on evidence that the minister is complicit in the death of Mary Habila?
We are seeking investigation, and if the investigation proves that there is need for legal action, we, go ahead with the legal action. It is not for us to categorically say that the minister is complicit or not, but let investigation, and this is the more reason why investigation should be conducted, to lay to rest every element of doubt.
And that's the point. If you have no evidence that the minister is complicit in the death of the deceased, why are you demanding compensation to the tune of 20 billion naira when there is no evidence yet that the minister is complicit?
Well, we cannot say that at this stage because the investigation is yet to be conducted, and the matter have not yet been heard in court.
Okay, as we begin to wind down, let's talk about what your next line of action is. So first, let's establish, have you been able to, as a letter demanding for whatever it is you're demanding, has it reached the minister? Has the minister been served? Walk us through what has been done so far. Is he aware of this case? Has it been served officially?
A lawyer have been detailed to execute that service, and I'm yet to get feedback from the lawyer.
Okay. The reason why what my colleague Bukola was asking was, and it's important so that we're clear, the 20 billion
you're demanding for? Is it for whatever happened that this lady unfortunately passed, God rest her soul, we need compensation, or this is what we expect you to pay if we find out that there's something fishy that happened in your house that may need some level of justice? Well, so what exactly is this 20 billion for? I'm just trying to repeat the question differently.
Yeah, the 20 billion has to do with damages related to her death in the event that there is some elements of criminality in the matter. And like I've said, yes, we have put a figure forward. It is for the court of law to finally determine where necessary.
All right. Mr. Tabara, so I mean, you have confirmed that the family does not want you to go ahead with this case. They said let this matter die as soon as yesterday, but you've gone ahead to ask for that money. So let's say the money is paid right now, this morning. What's the sharing formula like between the kinsmen and the direct family of Habila?
I'm not in position to say that. The lawyers handling the matter, I'm sure, is something that they have been dealing with, and they know how to go about that.
So, Mr. Tabara, sorry, why do you think the family doesn't want an autopsy done, and they're not in support of this legal action that the union has embarked on? Why do you think they would rather have things quiet?
Well, if the court of law decides contrary to our prayers, so let it be, and it would have been on record that the matter had been comprehensively laid to rest. I think that is good for the public. And,
that's not it, Mr. Tabara. Why do you think the family doesn't want an autopsy?
They lay claim to culture, and I, as the socio-cultural leader of the region, we are aware that the laws of the land supersede whatever culture you practice. There are laws in this country, and we should be seen to be guided by the laws of this country.
All right, Mr. Tabara, totally out of time, but not to double down. So is there anything that in the culture that says they don't like autopsy or they don't approve of autopsy?
In fact, I heard it for the first time from them.
Okay, interesting. Because wanted to establish whether there's any part of Southern Kaduna that is against autopsy to establish, cause of death. Now that you said it as a sociocultural leader, I think we're clear. But the family, they have the right to demand whatever it is they want to demand. But most thank you. Mr. Tabara is the president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, from there, let's cross over live to our Abuja studios as we get some perspectives as regards the power sector. It's one sector that concerns every Nigerian household. There are issues around the grid collapse, there are issues around the subnationals, there's the Electricity Act. Just how are we faring? One man seems to be virtually everywhere ensuring that, let's see how we can have alternative power and clean energy. He's the MD and CEO of RIA, that's the Rural Electrification Agency. Dr. Abba Aliyu joins us live now from Abuja studios. Thank you indeed, Dr. Aliyu, for agreeing to talk to us here on the program and perhaps do a review of perhaps maybe the last 6 months of how your agency is faring. By the way, congratulations, your chairman, Ayodele Fayose, was announced a few days ago. There are many reservations to that, but let's leave that and just move on very quickly, Dr. Aliyu. So where are we now in terms of just how far so far with the agency and what you're trying to do, especially at the sub-nationals?
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you also for giving me this opportunity to update the Nigerians as regards to what Rural Electrification Agency is currently doing. We have already started the implementation of the DES project. Before we started, I was at this station where I highlighted all the targets that we set for ourselves. The DES project, it's the biggest publicly funded renewable energy access project in the world. That would provide electricity to 17.5 million Nigeria, quite an ambitious project. And that as today we had already started. The project is oversubscribed because we had implemented it in partnership with the private sector. As at today, for the first time in the history of the country, we are deploying more than 1,000 mini grid across the country, isolated mini grids. And we also have been very bullish in the deployment of the interconnected mini grids. We are working on 48 of them across the entire country in collaboration with all the distribution companies. We have been going around the country doing the groundbreaking, setting a target of between 6 to 8 months to deploy all the interconnected mini grids. We also have completed our intervention in the universities, where we completed 15 universities. As of today, all these universities now are fully connected with the solar farms. We have also been very ambitious when it comes to catalyzing private sector fund financing. We have convinced a number of Nigerian banks, and we signed a number of memorandum for either equipment financing or debt financing or even bridge financing to the private sector for them to deploy the renewable infrastructure. We also have completed the mapping of the entire country, which is guiding us with very good data of where we should intervene and how we should intervene and what kind of technology we should intervene. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, we mapped the entire country, identify over 750,000 communities that exist in the country. From Lagos State, the biggest community with over 2.5 million households, to communities that are just 2 or 3 houses. We have the data, we know the number of houses in each community, and we know whether the community is electrified, underserved, or not provided with the electricity, and we know the least cost of providing that community. We also have achieved that. So this is where we are as at today as when it comes to the implementation of our projects.
So this mini grid regulatory framework that the agency is running, according to interviews that you have granted, correct me if I'm wrong, marks a shift from small-scale pilot projects to utility scale-off grid electricity, right?
Yes, exactly. It's one of the major achievements also that we recorded under this administration. If you look at the previous mini grid regulation, the highest capacity of a mini grid we can deploy is 1 megawatt. And we have been very vocal about it. We informed the regulator that Nigeria needs to be much more ambitious than just 1 megawatt of mini grid capacity. If you look at other African countries that do not even have electricity challenge as we have, they have a mini grid regulation where a private sector can deploy up to 50 megawatt of a mini grid. And we informed the regulator, we had discussion, and that's based on that they reviewed the regulation. Now we can deploy up to 5 megawatt of isolated mini grid and 10 megawatt of interconnected mini
so
grid.
it's the size of the megawatts that makes the difference. I was going to ask about the difference. So out of the households that you have identified, and based on your target of 17.5 million households that you intend to electrify, what number of the 17.5 million have you achieved so far since you took over the agency?
So we have, as of today, we have a number of mini grids that we have completed, close to 100. Our target, like I told you in the beginning, is 1,350 mini grids, and currently we are working on more than 1,000 mini grids. And we also have a target of 250 interconnected mini grids, but we have started with 48. So we, as at today, there are a number of mini grids that have already been completed, much more than even 100. But these are all the isolated mini grids out of the 1,000 that we are working towards to deliver. My take is by the first quarter, end of this year or early first quarter of next year, we would definitely have more than half of the 1,000 completed commission, and they are ready to start providing services to the community. But as at today, we already have a number of them that have been completed. I was last month, I was in Kogi, where we did the commissioning of 2 in Dekina, Olamo, Boro, Yingba side, where we have already completed. We have also completed a number of them in Ondo. We have also completed in Kano, and a number of states within the country.
The question maybe you didn't respond to was, out of these ones that have been installed and ongoing, of the 17 million you intend to reach, how many has been reached so far from your data?
Well, I don't have that number offhand, and I'm somebody who always track those numbers on my dashboard, but I can definitely get back to you with that number, because each mini grid, based on the capacity, has a number of connections that we connect and we track. But I don't have the total number of connection based on the 100 that we already completed.
Yeah, it's important. So we need, and 17 million is ambitious and is applaudable. So we need to know. Whenever we bring you, we try to check your last 6 months or last 1 year, so that we set new targets for ourselves, so that when we engage again, it's something that we're enjoying doing with you through your ministry. So if maybe your aid can get us an average, we would like to know. But I was looking through the numbers yesterday, and I was studying the budget of REA. So from what I have seen from the budget office, the one published, the budget of the entire Ministry of Power, maybe marginally in excess of 1 trillion. Your agency takes 46% plus of that number, which is about 500 and something billion. In that 500 and something billion, correct me if I'm wrong, almost 99% is for capex, capital expenditure. So it tells me that it's long term, is low administrative, high project driven agency, which is applaudable on paper. My challenge now is, if you can help us with this data, based on all of this budget overlaps and complaints or releases of funds, if the bulk of responsibility sits on REA, how much releases have come to you? Have you been getting anything from even the 2026 budget so far?
So you see, the Rural Electrification Agency, we were very innovative. It's not only the budget that we are relying on as a source of funding. We have 4 different sources of funding: the Development Finance Institution funding, which is the World Bank, African Development Bank, and we have the market financing, we have grants, and the capital budgets. So most of our projects that we are implementing that has to do with the mini grids are being structured under the Development Finance Institution, and all that funding has been released by Mr. President. Like I mentioned, the DES project is the biggest finance project in the entire world, and Mr. President approved the entire $750 million, which will catalyze a private sector finance of $1.1 billion, and that is what we are using to do that. As regard to the capital budgeting, most of the funding that we get from the capital are either payments for loans or grid extension or constituency projects, and we have gotten some of the release from that funding, but like all other agencies, we are hoping that we will get much more, so that we will complete
10%, 5%, 20%, 50% of your 500 billion. What have you seen so far?
Don't have that figure, to be honest, as at now, but quite all right. Like all other agencies, we did not receive, I think, more than 30%.
So, Dr. Ali, it will be interesting, perhaps, maybe in the coming, again, weeks or months, so that we can have some of these.
6 months from now.
Okay, 6 months from now, my colleague is suggesting, so that we can, again, just do a review of your agency and the numbers. So I know that the Electricity Act is allowing states now to perhaps pursue their own power markets. So I'm wondering how you and your agency are trying to ensure that you perhaps complement what the federal government is doing at the subnationals, not there to duplicate or conflict, but to perhaps complement what subnationals are doing. Are you impressed at all by what states are doing?
Very, very good question. It's a question that all other agencies within the power sector needs to be asking themselves with the coming of the Electricity Act and the state subnational markets, how the federal is aligned with that. For rural electrification agents, we are very innovative in that regard. Last year, we created what we call the state-by-state roundtable, where we bring in the entire management, executive management of the state, led by the executive governors, to Abuja and bring in the private sector as well as rural electrification agency. It's not just a show. The state-by-state roundtable is an opportunity, one, to harmonize what the subnationals are doing and what the rural electrification agency is doing. One, we use that opportunity to let the subnational get to understand all the plans that we have under the desk and all other programs that we are implementing, and we use that also opportunity to present to them the mapping of the state. So in each state by state roundtable, for example, when we had that with Abia, we presented to the governor and the executives of the state the mapping of the entire Abia state, all the communities within the Abia, the communities that are electrified and those that are not electrified, and we also provided the state with what is the least cost of electrifying each community, not just the state, but each and every single community, because each community has its own different nuances, and by that it means there's an economically efficient way to electrify that community. So we provided them with that, and we even went further to now tell them that when you create your electricity market, this is the kind of structure that you need to establish so that the off-grid renewable energy subsector can continue to deliver and continue to partner with REA. So we have created that alignment, and as last year we have done with 27 states, we are continuing with this state. We are starting with most likely Anambra, then we will go with Taraba, plus the all other states, including Abuja, that we have not done the state-by-state roundtable. So we are creating that alignment. And to answer the second part of your question, we are seeing a lot of synergy and development. We're very sincere when it comes to renewable and rural electrification agency. And I give you a typical example. Last 3 weeks we were in Adamawa State, where we did the groundbreaking for 13.5 megawatt interconnected mini grid in Saminaka, Fufure, and one other community. What we have seen that the governor did was giving free land and a massive quick processing. I think in 12 hours he was able to produce certificate of occupancy and provided it to our developer, the private sector, and we promised to deliver 13.5. And when I say 13.5, you need to understand, see what the state received and how 13.5 can enhance the electricity supply of that state. The same thing with Kaduna. We are doing about 10 megawatts in Makarfi and Trapco area in Kaduna to inject additional reliability. The governor also has provided us with that certificate of occupancy. We are going next week to Yobe. We have been in Anambra with Governor Soludo, where we are going to inject 8.5 megawatt. We are going to do about 15 in Lagos. So all this, we are partnering with the governor, and we are seeing a lot of synergy and commitment from the subnationals.
I'm wondering what determines your what criteria determines your needs assessment in your conversations with states where you are initiating this mini-grid project? And the reason I ask this is because we've had several conversations with representatives of Isoko North and South in Delta State, where they have not had power supply for about 10 years, and in some areas we hear that there's even more. And so I wonder if Delta State is on your list in terms of conversations. I don't know how it is initiated. Is it the state government that approached the REA for intervention, or REA itself, determines its needs assessment based on certain criteria? I'd like you to talk to us about that. And the second leg of my question would be the impact, affordability of this, of access to this mini grid, and the impact on the local economy. The real sector are still not being significantly impacted by policies, and one of which would be this massive drive for access to alternative sources of energy.
Very good. For Delta states, we are going there. Like I said, there's no state where Rural Electrification Agency is not going. We are going to Delta. In fact, for your information and for record, for public record, we are injecting, I think, 15 megawatt in Delta State. We have been also in Port Harcourt, where we did the groundbreaking for 13 megawatt, I think, in Kana, One, and one more other community that I can't remember the name. The governor was very magnanimous. He also had handed over the certificate of occupancy to us. So we are going to Delta. I think they have an economic summit, which immediately after that we will do the groundbreaking with the governor, and he's been very also supportive. We did the state-by-state roundtable with the Delta State. Apart from the 15.5 megawatt that will inject in Delta, there will be even some isolated mini grids. And like I said, Rural Electrification Agency, you see, you need to appreciate the level of data that we have. And I repeat, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we mapped the entire country. We identified over 750,000 communities that exist in the entire country. There's no place within the country as a community that we do not have the data of that community. From Lagos State, which we call the biggest community, was about 2.5 million households, to communities that have only 2 or 3 houses. We have that data. We know the number of houses. We know the electricity situation of those communities. We know the nature of the work, and we have determined the least cost to provide that community with electricity. So it's data that is influencing us where we should go. And that is why our projects are normally effective at changing the dynamics of when it comes to electricity. And that is one of the things the Honorable Minister of Power is being very keen on. Let's continue to make sure that it's data that driven us. The second thing is also partnership with the distribution company, because for interconnected mini grids, it's not an isolated mini grid. We connect it with the main grid, and which means that we have to encroach into the franchise area of the distribution company. In this regard, the Honorable Minister of Power ensures that there is a partnership between the distribution companies, us, the communities. In fact, it's the entire 48 interconnected mini grid site that we are developing now. The site have been provided to us by the distribution companies. They provided us with a total of 650 sites, of which we chose the most impactful 48 to deliver under the phase 1. Then we will continue to do it. Like I told you, our target is to do 250 interconnected mini grids. The second part of your question, in terms of affordability, you see, this is one of the wisdom of the current administration of Mr. President, whereby we should be providing grants for production rather than consumption, and that is what the renewable ecosystem is catalyzing. What we are doing is catalyzing the private sector to deploy this infrastructure by providing them with a capital grant to defray the cost of deploying the infrastructure, which by extension would reduce the cost of the tariff. And that is why you see in most of the mini grids that we deployed, the collection rate has been more than 95%, which is very effective and providing the services. And in all the mini grids that we deploy, I want to make it very clear that we deploy 100% metering, we connect the entire communities, we do the distribution network, we do the generation plant, distribution network, metering, and a SCADA system that will ensure that we track every single electron we generate from the solar farm to the household or to the businesses. And the last part of your question is electricity. It's no more a brainer to say that whether electricity is catalyzing small, medium businesses, even the big businesses, high industries, now renewable energy is catalyzing it. The Honorable Minister was in Niger, where I accompanied him to a solar farm that was deployed in Niger, about, I think, 20 megawatt that is powering a still melting plant. It's still wind. It is one of the high intense electricity consumption factories, but it's a solar farm that is powering that, and that is what we are doing, and that is why we are opening our scaling up our capacities from the 1 mega to like 10, so that we continue to power big medium businesses across the country.
Yeah, we're no doubt of some of the efforts you've made, and they are quite commendable. We've reviewed you over and over, so we'll keep challenging you to give us more data and provide us with the questions we're asking, because we can see some of the work and they are commendable, but there's more to be done. Two cases I want to make here, which my colleague has made. Isoko people, we've interviewed them, from government to the community, so I don't know what you have to do, because I looked at your budget. That 2026 at least, I told you I spent time with your budget last night. I did not see anything that has to do with Isoko. They have oil wells and all these things. So I don't think it's fair, because the argument was whether they had the installations and it's not being used is moribund, or they are not able to afford it. But the people say they've not had light in some places for up to 20 years. So off-grid, these are underserved areas. So if the grid is not working for them, Ariye can help out. So I think you should look at that one. And also, well, my village people say, why am I not making a case for them? But in Eastern Obolo, please look at I'm from Eastern Obolo in Akwa Ibom State. Where I'm going to with that for Isoko people is that I also looked at the provisions for Akwa Ibom, for instance, and I see that Oroganam local government has the Okanafon Oroganam federal constituency 21 million for the provision and installation of solar street light. I don't know whether I can remember this, because the budget is a lot of work. Provision of solar street light in Oroganam again for 35 million. Is it a repetition, or these are different projects? And how come we have a lot of Oroganam? My village is not there, but with respect.
So starting with the delta, like I told you, the 15.5 is unfortunate. I don't know the name of the specific communities that we are injecting that 15.5, but I'm very confident that it may be the Isoko areas, because we look at the data and we determine where there is no electricity and go to that area. But I promise to get back to you and give you the details of where that 15.5 megawatt will be injected in Delta State. As regards to the second part of the Akwa Ibom, I have the data. We are injecting 4 megawatt in Akwa Ibom, and it's around the Aka Road somewhere there. That is why we are injecting, because there are a lot of chunk number of households that they need electricity, but the feeder providing them has not been effective. So we want to inject 4 megawatt in that community, and we will continue to do more within the Akwa Ibom. In terms of the budget, the budget comes with a prescribed where we should go to intervene. So in that regard, we don't use our data. We have to, the budget say no. If they say we should go to a particular community, we'll go to that community and deploy. But if there is any duplication, I tell you this is one thing that ICPC is very effective in doing. They would draw our attention and we would go back to the National Assembly either to relocate the fund to a different area within the state, or to inform them of the fact that it's already been done. But I don't have much details on that particular line of budget that you
Mr.
quoted.
Lee, before my colleague comes in, just in case it's a duplication, just put it to Eastern Obolo. In Eastern Obolo local government in Akwa Ibom. My village is operating. Just let me make a case for my people.
Dr. Lee, so the good thing is that maybe perhaps we should collaborate a bit more, because as journalists we move around a lot, so we know a lot of communities that do not have power. So I'm trying not to mention mine as well, because it's the same story. We have, and we know a lot of them who do not have power.
Please mention it.
So as well, Cross River, Ikom and Boki local government, but universal electricity access by 2030. How possible is that dream? I wonder perhaps if you can identify one decision that we have to make as a country to achieve that goal by 2030. What exactly is that big decision?
I think we are making those big decisions, and I'm being very, very honest with you. The implementation, one thing that Mr. President, one credit that Mr. President has to get from the Nigerians is his bold and audacious ambition to address electricity access by approving the biggest funding, publicly funded for renewable energy access. To be very honest, there is no country that was this ambitious to say that, okay, let's face 17.5 million Nigeria to provide them. And I keep on telling you, I and channels, I like that, because you always challenge us, you bring us back, and I want to even use the opportunity to say that let's have a review in December, but whereby we will come back and still provide you with all the mini grids that we have completed, show the pictures, show the connection, and you can also go at your own cost to interview these people, the communities, to make sure that yes, they have what we are saying, the electricity. So even the data, you don't have to leave the comfort of your office to be showing us where the communities are without the electricity. Like I told you, we have done the mapping. We will come and present for you to see the mapping. I can show you the rooftop of your house from my laptop to show you whether it has electricity or not.
Dr. Aliyu, when you say at our own cost, all of us on this table are field journalists as well. We would love to join you and go and see these things for ourselves and capture it with the lens of our cameras. But perhaps, you can just join your team. But it's a fine place to live with, Dr. Aliyu. Welcome to you and your team. One thing we know is that wherever there are conversations around trying to improve our power sector, I see that you're always there. I think there's an MOU between RIA and the NCC as well, which was reported over the weekend. But well done again. Thank you. December again, we'll do that review with you. Dr. Abba Aliyu is the MD and CEO of REA, which is the Rural Electrification Agency. Thank you indeed for your time and insights on the program as always.
Thank you for having me.
I really like Dr. Aliyu because he brings data for us, he brings pictures for us. Yeah. So the next time we're going to go around with him and film ourselves.
And he always tells us to, hold him by what he has, said, and then we'll do a review.
I want to make today is my recommendation. Ministry of Blue Economy, right? That's it. Blue Economy. Yes. What's the full meaning again? Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. We don't know what you're doing. Minister Boyega Yetela, the only thing we know that has happened is that we got a bilateral loan that is going to help us upgrade the port. But an average journalist cannot sit down and say, this is what the Minister of Marine, what's his name again?
Marine and Blue
Economy is doing. I'm not saying you're not doing anything, but we don't know what you're doing. So you need a date with us. All right.
Well, we'll get to that conversation.
So trends. Let's get to look at what you Nigerians have been saying online and what, of course, have caught our attention. Let's begin with the first one. The Super Falcons wearing keftan and bubu for their WAFCON photo shoot. Impressive. I think I love not just the sight of this, but I mean, imagine the pride having to wear your own attire.
Nigeria to the world, and this is, very good representation of our national colors done in the very popular Adire fabric, and so this is nice, very lovely.
Adire, they almost put our minister of youth in trouble. Anyway, great one, but I would have loved them to tweak it a little bit to be more fashionable, youth appropriate. This gives a bit of an anti-vibe, and these are young people.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
They wear it right now. The next competition they wear another.
I'm talking about the design, not the design.
Yes.
Design.
Jeffrey, that's debatable.
No, that's what I see.
Would you have loved this to be done in jersey fashion?
No.
Because that's a possibility as well.
For me, I would have expected more credibility, more creativity. But it's fine. It's great for our girls. But let's talk about Anthony Joshua. Beating Prenga, a knockout. Anthony Joshua was knocked down twice. And then he came back, and it's round 2. It was literally over. So proud of him. Big money. If he fought in Riyadh, so he's going to keep a lot of the money. Because I don't think the taxes are as high as America. Because America, they'll collect a lot of that money. Even the UK, they'll collect a lot of it. Congratulations. He said he did it for his boys who died in Nigeria.
Considering the trauma that he's been through, for him to be able to achieve this.
Is he ready with this? Is he ready for Tyson Fury? That's the big
question. About his resilience.
Is he ready?
I don't know when it's ready. What we are saying is that this one now has set up the stage for the two Brits. Is a Nigerian.
But in his previous matches, he's demonstrated, capacity to take on even the big names.
Well, he has always. They've been at each other, but now after this fight, stage is set. So all we need is a date now.
And so this next one, from there, here takes us to BB Niger season 11 kicks off as 24 housemates battle for a record 160 million naira prize. Now, if we're able to get just a quarter of this sum to be awarded to a mathematics competition, to a science innovation competition, then we'll be placing value on what matters.
Well, good luck to them. I'm not such a big fan anymore. I used to, but now my interest is how Nigeria can be better. But
maybe this of national interest. I hope it's not a distraction.
The young people, they know how to appropriate their time. Some will watch, some may not watch. But good luck to everyone. I don't even follow that much, but it's content for the organizers, and congratulations to them on being the big monies. And guys, I guess that's it on the program. Thank you for your time. Today is what, Bukolale? What's the date again?
July 27th.
I just wanted to remind you.
Very close to Alat Day. Right, Kelly?
Oh my word. You have to say that, guys.
Because she's been calling this day.
I'm going to tell you, she's been counting down.
Alat. Note I said Alat, not alert. Alat.
Okay, there's a difference between Alat and alert.
That is the best music in the world. Alat is the best. The Grammy Award-winning
Jeffrey, Alat.
Yes, not alert.
Not alert.
Thank you for your time. I'm Jeffrey. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your time, Kelly Egiga. Sunrise Daily is up next.
I am Bukola Koka. See you again tomorrow.